Long ago, in a beautiful kingdom surrounded by green mountains and shining rivers, there lived a kind and gentle princess named Rosala. Princess Rosala was loved by everyone in the kingdom. The people admired her kindness, her warm smile, and her caring heart. She always helped the poor and comforted those who were sad. Because of her goodness, the people often called her the Rose of the Kingdom. Rosala lived in a magnificent white palace. The palace stood on a hill overlooking the entire kingdom. From the highest balcony, Rosala could see golden fields, quiet villages, sparkling lakes, and endless forests. Every morning the palace gardens filled with colorful flowers. Butterflies danced in the air while birds sang sweet songs. Rosala loved walking in the garden during sunrise. She often talked to the flowers as if they were her friends. Despite all the beauty around her, Rosala sometimes felt a strange loneliness. She had everything a princess could wish for: wealth, luxury, and respect. But deep inside her heart, she felt something was missing. She did not know what it was. She could not explain the feeling. It was like a quiet emptiness that appeared when the night became silent. Every evening Rosala would sit by her bedroom window. She would look up at the bright moon shining in the sky. The moonlight softly touched her face. The gentle wind moved through her long black hair. Sometimes she wondered if somewhere in the world there was someone who truly understood her heart. One peaceful night, something magical happened. The night of the strange dream. That night the sky was filled with countless stars. The moon looked bigger and brighter than ever before. Rosala felt unusually tired, so she went to bed early. As she slowly closed her eyes, the world around her faded into silence. Soon she found herself standing in a place she had never seen before. It was a mysterious garden. The garden looked beautiful but also strange. Silver mist floated gently over the ground. The sky above was purple and glowing softly. Thousands of white roses covered the garden paths. Each rose shone like a tiny lantern in the dark. Rosala looked around in wonder. She could hear the gentle sound of water somewhere nearby. "Where am I?" she whispered softly. Her voice echoed through the quiet garden. Suddenly she heard another voice. "Rosala." The voice was soft and distant. Rosala quickly turned around. But no one was there. Her heart began beating faster. The voice called again. "Rosala, come find me." The voice sounded warm and familiar. Without understanding why, Rosala began walking through the garden. The path of white roses. The deeper she walked into the garden, the brighter the roses glowed. The air smelled sweet like spring flowers after rain. Rosala followed the glowing path carefully. Soon she reached a beautiful silver lake. The lake was calm and clear like glass. The stars in the sky reflected perfectly on its surface. Rosala slowly walked closer to the water. She leaned forward to see her reflection. But what she saw shocked her. Instead of her own face, she saw the reflection of a young prince. He stood in the water as if it were another world. The prince had kind eyes and a gentle smile. His hair was dark and slightly shining in the moonlight. Rosala stepped back in surprise. "Who are you?" she asked nervously. The prince looked at her with calm eyes. "My name is Adrian," he said softly. His voice was warm and peaceful. Rosala felt something strange in her heart. It felt as if she had known him for a very long time. The meeting. Prince Adrian stepped out of the lake. The water did not splash or move. It was as if the lake allowed him to walk through it. He wore royal clothes of deep blue and silver. A small crown rested gently on his head. Rosala looked at him with curiosity. "Why did you call my name?" she asked. Adrian smiled gently. "Because I have been waiting for you," he replied. Rosala felt confused. "Waiting for me?" she asked. Adrian nodded slowly. "Yes," he said. "For a very long time." Rosala could not understand how this was possible. But strangely, she felt safe standing beside him. They began walking together through the dream garden. As they walked, they talked about many things. They talked about their kingdoms. They talked about their childhood memories. They talked about their dreams and hopes. The more they talked, the closer they felt. Rosala had never felt so comfortable with anyone before. For the first time in her life, the loneliness in her heart disappeared. The happiness of the dream. Time seemed to stop in the dream garden. The sky glowed softly above them. The roses shined brighter with every step. Rosala laughed freely as Adrian told her funny stories. They walked beside the lake for what felt like hours. Rosala felt truly happy. It was a happiness she had never experienced before. But slowly, something strange began to happen. The glowing sky began to darken. The stars slowly faded away. A cold wind began blowing through the garden. The roses stopped glowing. Rosala looked around with worry. "Something is wrong," she said quietly. Adrian's smile slowly disappeared. The truth of the dream. Adrian looked at Rosala with sadness in his eyes. "This place is only a dream," he said softly. Rosala's heart suddenly felt heavy. "A dream?" she whispered. Adrian nodded. "Yes," he said. "And dreams cannot last forever." Rosala felt tears forming in her eyes. "No," she said softly. "I don't want this to end." Adrian gently held her hands. "I wish it didn't have to," he said. "But the morning is coming." The wind became stronger. The beautiful garden began to fade. The roses turned gray. The lake started disappearing. The sky cracked like broken glass. Rosala held Adrian's hands tightly. "Please don't leave," she cried. Adrian looked at her with deep sadness. "I never wanted to leave," he said. "But dreams must end." His form slowly began to fade like mist. Rosala tried to hold him. But her hands passed through the fading light. "Rosala," Adrian whispered. "Meeting you was the happiest moment of my life." Tears streamed down her face. "I will find you again," she said. Adrian smiled gently. "Maybe in another dream or another life." And then he disappeared. The garden vanished. Everything went dark. Awakening. Rosala suddenly woke up in her bedroom. Morning sunlight filled the room. Birds were singing outside the window. Everything looked normal again. But Rosala's heart felt broken. Tears rolled down her cheeks. The dream had felt real. Too real. She sat up slowly. Her hands trembled. She touched her heart. The warmth she felt with Adrian was gone. But the memory remained. Days passed. Weeks passed. But Rosala could never forget the dream prince. Sometimes she walked through the palace gardens hoping to feel the same magic. Sometimes she stood beside the lake near the castle. She looked into the water again and again. But she only saw her own reflection. Still, she never stopped hoping. The quiet promise. One quiet night Rosala stood again by her window. The moon shone brightly above the kingdom. The cool wind moved gently through the garden. Rosala closed her eyes and whispered softly. "Adrian, if you were real. I hope we meet again someday." For a moment the moonlight seemed to glow brighter. The wind carried a soft whisper through the night. It sounded like a distant voice. "Someday." Rosala opened her eyes slowly. A small smile appeared on her face. Even though the dream had broken her heart, it had also given her something beautiful. Hope. And sometimes hope is the most magical dream of all.